Hello everyone and welcome. We are at the countdown to round 1 live stream. Apologies for being a little late everyone. Just had to have a quick shower, eat some quick dinner because we're going to go all the way until lockout and I would have been too hungry, so apologies for being a little bit late. But I needed to get some food in my system and I need the energy to go all the way to 8:05, lock in my team, answer all of your questions. Thank you everyone who's already in the live chat. I can see there's like 50 people waiting before I even started, so I'm a bit out of breath as well. I absolutely scoffed down my dinner but I wanted to start a little bit start as soon as possible, basically, because I know you guys would have heaps and heaps of burning questions. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you Sean, Tom, Ryan, Liam, Thomas, Oscar, Liam again, this Oscar, you guys are talking amongst yourselves, which is great to see. Sean, Steve J, thank you everyone for being here for the first ever countdown to round 1 live stream. So I won't beat around the bush much longer. I'll just get straight to my team and what I'm currently sitting on. Let me just quickly adjust that. So hopefully you guys can see that. I have put below me as well the time, so just bearing in mind that for some reason my computer screen, I can't zoom out and see the time with this setup that I've got. We've got 1 hour 26 minutes, so 8:05. So remember that time everyone. That is the time that you need to lock in your teams. Only for this round. So the first game is obviously the Panthers versus Sea Eagles, but this is when all the big questions are going to be answered. So I'll quickly just show you guys my team. I'll just quickly talk through it as well before I get to all of your questions. So it's a little bit different to what I showed in my video from yesterday. So I have gone to Reed Miney instead of Brandon Smith, just thinking I like the fact that he's probably going to be an overall more solid option, a bit more stable. I really like the Eels draw to start off with. And I think I want to try to tap into the Eels from the beginning of the season. So at the moment on Reed Miney, it could still change to Brandon Smith or even Harry Grant. But I'm on Miney and Randall at the moment. Now front row forward has definitely changed. If you guys watched my video, you would have noted that I was very up in the air about my front row forward and what to do with it. So I've decided for now to spend the money there just so I can kind of limit the trades that I need to do in the future. So I've gone with Fanul Blake. I've kept Tanua Brown, but I got rid of Fafita just because Fafita, he was named number 17. The Sharks had a very strong forward bench. They've got a couple of forwards coming back when Wade Graham comes back eventually. They're going to get McInnes back, who'll probably play in the middle. I think Jack Williams is another one. And so I thought there's potentially a risk of Fafita dropping out of the team. So for that reason, I've gone with Fanul Blake. I think he should be in for a good season, hopefully, if he stays fit. That's probably the main question, but he's got the game for SuperCoach. He likes to offload, likes to tackle break. So I definitely wanted a piece of that as well. Warriors have got a good draw. So that's why I've gone for Fanul Blake. I've kept Tanua Brown and Max King. No change to the 2RF starters or the bench except for Howarth. So I've actually moved Targo down to the center wing. Now, I spoke a lot about wanting to get Targo in 2RF because there weren't that many cheapies there. But I decided for what I wanted to do with the rest of the team in terms of pumping some money into the front row forward, I had to downgrade. So I have got Howarth. He's just enough at the moment. But I'm hoping that he can come into the Storm team around State of Origin period, just when they will obviously lose a couple of edge-back rowers. And potentially, if they have maybe injuries, then maybe he does come in. I've got about 24k in the bank, so I can't really upgrade him to anyone. So I've just gone for one, and he's at his bottom dollar, so 175k. No change in the halves or 5'8". I think I'm not going to be changing them unless I have a late tickle for Munster. But I think Walker, Schneider, Ilias and Brown are probably going to be my 4 halfback and 5'8". And now because I had to do that front row forward change, because I did that change, I've gone Staggs, Smith, Targo. I've moved down Targo from the 2RF to the centre wing. Russell, and then your usual crop of cheapies like Amon, Penasini and Vilea. And then Tedesco and Pappenhausen as the fullback. So not too many changes, in all honesty, with the team. The only real changes is that I've gotten rid of Smith, Fafita and Lomax, which I wasn't happy about, in all honesty. I would like Lomax, but that's what I've got at the moment. Still not 100% locked in the team. I still feel like I might want to go for a more higher upside centre wing if I can, but it would likely be at the expense of a front row forward. So it probably would be Fanul Blake again. I just don't like the cheap options in front row forward. So for now, I'm sticking with Fanul Blake. So that's what I'm on at the moment, guys. Let me know what you think of it in the chat. I think a few people did say it was fine. It was a fine team. I think Dylan Brown, I'm keen on Dylan Brown. I'm ready for 2.0 just because I had Dylan Brown at the start of last season and he burnt me. But this year he's coming cheaper. Eels should hopefully be looking better. He should be playing on the left-hand side. And so, yeah, Dylan Brown, I'm happy enough with him. I'm just trying to see if there's a way I can zoom out to see more of the team on the screen, but I think it will make the players look a little bit illegible from your end. So I'll keep it as is, and we can do some live tinkering as well. And before I start getting to your questions, guys, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's tuned in for any preseason videos, live streams, Twitter. You guys have been really, really positive and really appreciative of the content I put out, and I really do value that highly. So we just want to say thank you to everyone. I hope you have all enjoyed it. Obviously, the content is not stopping. We're going to go through this season. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out because I really do appreciate all the nice comments that I get and everything. I read all of them, and it makes my day seeing some really nice comments from you all. And the growth has been insane. Like, subscribers have gone to like 840, I think it is, which is crazy in only the last couple of days. So yeah, thank you to everyone. But enough cheesiness, enough pleasantries. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly get some extra light here if I can. And I think we'll start going through your questions. So I'll scroll to the top of the chat. I know there's a few questions about Connor Watson, so that's been some late mail as well. I think we'll discuss that for sure. But I'll start looking at some of your questions. So a few of you have started chatting at the beginning amongst yourselves. I think you guys have answered some of your own questions. Oscar, his question was Lomax or Sloan. So I did a Twitter poll about the same 50-50. I would go Lomax just because I think he's a bit more stable. The base is higher than Sloan. Sloan had good scores last season, but a lot of it was down to his try scoring, whereas Lomax can give you a good score without scoring a try because he's got the goal kicking. I think I read an article yesterday previewing the Dragons, and one notable thing about his play is that ability to do that flick pass to the winger. So there's, if he does plays like that, that's tackle breaks, there's line break assists, try assists, the goal kicking is good, the base is good. So I personally would go with Lomax. I'm a big fan of his, and I think I pointed out in my video yesterday, he's done quite well historically against the bigger teams. So he doesn't necessarily need to be, he's kind of matchup proof in all honesty. So I would go Lomax in that 50-50 if you guys are thinking of that. Okay, let's see. Yep, a few people agreeing in the chat about that. They said, the kicking goals has got me thinking Lomax. Yep. Liam, Sean Johnson or Dylan Brown? I've made the decision to go Dylan Brown. I just prefer the fact that he's got a higher base, so I think his floor is higher. Now, the thing that really appeals with me with Dylan Brown is, so last season he averaged 53, I think it was. He averaged 53 and it was without any attacking stats. I think he had 3 try assists all season. I think he had 1 try for himself, barely anything basically, and he still averaged 53. Now, if you just think that he's going to get 1 or 2 more attacking stats on average, then his average will go up to maybe about 60, 64, which he has done previously. He did that in 2020. So I'm keen on Dylan Brown. I like the Eels draw. I think they're in for a good season as well. And I think he potentially could be a nice makeway for Munster in the future. So I'm keen on Dylan Brown. Sean Johnson, probably goal kicking for the first week, but that's it once Walsh comes back. And I feel like Johnson is kind of like the opposite end of Dylan Brown, where he's kind of more at the tail end of his career in terms of the injuries. So just not sure if he's quite got that upside. I don't necessarily think Dylan Brown's got the upside, but I think he's got better potential for cash growth, in my opinion. So I'm sticking with Dylan Brown, I think, in that kind of 50-50. And a few people in the chat also agreed. Thomas, is Mann and Fermor still viable? I think so. I'm a little bit less keen on Fermor just because of Proctor being named on the bench there, and just still not 100% sure about his minutes. His base is fine. He's averaging base of about 35 to 37 from last season, which is fine. Just not quite seeing the upside at 380k. So I'm steering clear of Fermor. Similar with Mann. I know Barry Tuia said that he might play 60, 65 minutes at lock, but it sounds like quite a lot of minutes. And the bench makeup also with Barnett there, who's rumoured to play in the middle. There's a few forwards coming back for the Knights as well. And I'm just also thinking about what happened last season with Connor Watson, where he was constantly rotated with Suaso Su, like that kind of last minute jiggery hokery where he was named on the bench. Just wondering something similar happens with Mann. And Mann is so versatile. If there's any injury in that team, like wing, centre, they'll probably just plug him there. So again, I think he's a solid option. Say at 5'8", he'll carry through, probably get you 50 to 55. Just not quite certain if he's got much higher ceiling than that. I do stand corrected on Mann because he has been good in SuperCoach in the past. Just personally, I'm not going to start with him. I kind of want to see how it goes, and maybe then I can jump on him. Let's say Sean, my mate has Hines at fullback over Pappy. How do I tell him he's wrong? Just say he's wrong. You need Pappenhausen. Now, granted, if Pappenhausen's out for this week, I still wouldn't go to Hines. I'd probably go to Gutherson. But yeah, no, tell your mate to get Hines in at halfback. I think Hines is a good option. I think once that Nathan Cleary news was confirmed, I think the main 3 halfbacks a lot of people were looking at was Sam Walker, what's his name? Nico Hines, of course, and Jerome Hughes. Now, I've obviously gone for Walker. I think I like his value. He's a bit cheaper than those other two. Should be goal kicking. I really like what the Roosters hopefully should do this season. So I've gone with Sam Walker. But I think Hines probably would have been my next choice, just for the fact that he is goal kicking. And he's the man for that team. You know, Walker, you could say points might be shared with Kiri, Teddy, all those gun players. Whereas at the Sharks, you know that if they do something good, Hines is going to be a big part of that. So it kind of feeds into like talisman theory, I guess. But I've gone for Walker, but I still think Hines is a good option. If anyone is considering Hines, I wouldn't be second guessing myself. If you've got a good feeling about him, I would run with him. And Tom said, yep, Shulman Pappenhausen scored 4 tries in 11 minutes last season against the Broncos. I remember that game so vividly because I captained him, and it was such an amazing feeling watching that speedster go through for all those tries. Liam, captain Teddy or Paps? I'm captaining Tedesco. Main reason for that is Pappenhausen is still looking like a slight doubt, and an article that I retweeted on my Twitter said that Nick Meaney, who's playing at 5'8" for the Storm, he's probably likely going to be goal kicking at least for this week, just because Pappenhausen had an ankle injury, and so I think just to kind of ease him in back into the team, it looks like Meaney will be goal kicking. So at least for this week, I'd expect Pappenhausen longer term to be goal kicking. He's a pretty good goal kicker. But for this week, I think that kind of caps his upside, plus the fact that he's got no Munster or Grant, even though it is the Tigers. I just think without those kind of guns around him, he might not quite have the ceiling, especially with that lack of goal kicking. Teddy, he loves playing at the SCG. The Knights, I think, is a good opposition. He's going to have all of his main men back. He's going to have Crichton, Kiri, Walker, Tupou, Manu, you can see why I'm so keen on going for the Roosters players. So I'm going with Tedesco. I think he's the captain choice for me. I don't think he's the best captain overall this week. I think that's Cody Walker against the Broncos. Without Adam Reynolds, I can see Cody having a massive score this week. But I'm not starting with Cody just because the next 3 after that are quite tough. And I see a lot of people in the chat were also saying Teddy as well. So they're probably all coming from the same line of thinking as me. A lot of people already answered for me, so I don't really need to go into that probably that much more. Now, Stefan, thoughts on Watson with the Verrills news? Now, I think I definitely want to discuss Connor Watson. So I think it did pique my interest as well. So the news is, guys, so I'll try just quickly flick onto my Twitter. So it looks like it was confirmed by NRL Physio that Sam Verrills suffered a broken thumb at training, expected to miss at least the next 4 weeks. So that suggests, obviously, that means at least a month for Connor Watson. And obviously, if the thumb injury gets worse, maybe he stays around for a little bit longer. So maybe Connor Watson could be an option for at least the first 4 weeks. Now, at first, I thought, wow, that's really good. Maybe I can take some money out of Connor Watson. Take some money out of Reid Marnie, put it into Connor Watson instead. But I kind of have cooled off my thinking on that, just because I don't think Connor Watson will play the full 80. So I might just bring up NRL.com actually, just to help show this. So in the Roosters 17, we've got Drew Hutchinson on the bench there, but we also have Lachlan Lamb in the reserves. Now, if Verrills is out, Verrills is already out. Verrills is already out for this week because he was suspended. I would not be surprised if Lachlan Lamb subbed on for Drew Hutchinson instead in the final team, because Lachlan Lamb can cover at hooker, and so I potentially see Connor Watson still playing maybe 60 minutes, and then Lachlan Lamb coming on for around 20 minutes, and also don't forget that Victor Radley can fill in at hooker as well. So I'm kind of running off the assumption that Connor Watson might play 60 minutes, and I did plug this into NRL SuperCoach Stats. Again, another plug for this website. It's fantastic. So if you want to kind of predict player prices, which I did fill around with a little bit today, so I wanted to see, if I picked Connor Watson, would he offer kind of any cash like increases or value? So where is he? Connor Watson, there we go. So if I say Connor Watson will play about 60 minutes, he generally has a PPM of about 1. So I would say, my screen just died. Hopefully you guys can still see that. I don't know what's happened there. Oh, 1 second, guys. Hopefully the stream's working okay. Okay, 1 second. I think my whole thing just crashed. Let's see. Let me know in the chat, guys, if that's back for you. Tech difficulties, love it. Love it. So it should be back for you guys, hopefully. And I'll bring back up my team in a little bit as well. So I was working with the assumption that Connor Watson might average about 60. And so if you average 60 for the next 4 weeks, again, you're not even going to get that many price rises out of him, just because obviously the first price rises only happen from round 3 onwards. So after that first kind of 3 rounds, at 60 average, he's actually projected to go down a little bit in price. So I don't know how much extra value will prove out of Connor Watson. Now, obviously, the fixtures are okay in that 4-game stretch. We've got the Tigers, but then we do have the Souths, and then we do have Manly. And then round 4, I think we have a good matchup. I can't quite remember the matchup, guys. I think it was... I'll double check that. But basically, I'm not sure if Connor Watson will offer the best value. And I feel like if you have him, you're kind of thinking that there'll be a trade out eventually when Verrills comes back, and Watson I expect goes back to number 14. So I think he's a good option when he starts, but I'm just thinking that the Roosters will not play him the full 80. So that's my thought process. I don't think I'll go down to Connor Watson. If that 80k though nets you a massive upgrade, I would maybe consider it a little bit more, but I personally don't think I will. Okay, so that's Stefan's question. Okay, guys, this chat is going quick. Hopefully I can try to get to as many of your questions as well. Yep, a few people said they'd rather go for Marnie. If only Tommy Turbo did goal kicking, mate. If Tommy Turbo was goal kicking, I'd be very, very scared. Yep, Daniel, Cody Walker Vice, Teddy Captain. That's a great combination, I think. Let's see. Hey, chat. Thoughts on Cody Walker as a pod? So that's from Brados. So yeah, I think Cody Walker, I'm steering clear just because I think the first 4 weeks is pretty tough. Like, don't get me wrong. I think round 1 is amazing, but I see the next 3 after that being a little bit tough for the Rabbitohs. So what do we got here? We've got the Broncos, which is great, but then it's the Storm. Don't forget that the Storm will have Grant and Munster back, and I think they're playing away from home as well. And Amy Park, and the Rabbitohs have a horrible record at Melbourne, so that's tough. Then it's the Roosters, and then it's the Panthers. I personally am looking to get Walker in maybe around 5, 6 or 7. 5, 6 or 7, yeah. So personally, I'm not going to start with Walker. Hopefully, he just goes down a little bit in cash, and Dylan Brown could be a good make way for him potentially. So I'm not looking personally at Cody Walker. He may be angry after a grand final loss. Yeah, true. They might be very motivated. Look, if you got Walker in your team, I wouldn't convince you to drop him because I think it is a good pod. But I'm personally just not going to run with him. Let's see. Thoughts on Damien Cook? Nah, I'm not keen on Damien Cook. I've seen a few people run him. I just look at the averages and has been decreasing over the past few seasons. And look, with a new coach, maybe he does run more. I want to see it first, though. He's cheaper than Marnie and Grant and Smith. So I'd rather just start with one of those 3, and then if you want to downgrade, you can. But look, like from 2019 onwards, 76, 70, 66, like we all thought these new rules would benefit him. But again, it's a tough draw, so how much upside is he going to have? I'm not too keen on Cook personally. So yeah, and I think a few people in the chat have also mentioned that the numbers are declining and they're a little bit cold on him. First live you've been here for, welcome Dale. And guys, obviously if you're enjoying the stream, give it a thumbs up. I have got the time below me as well, so hopefully it will keep me on track with the time, so I know that I need to lock in my team as well. Okay, Sydney, how wet is it? Honestly, it's actually not that bad right now in Sydney. It hasn't been raining the past couple of days. Rain is predicted again for about Saturday. So I'm thinking if you've got players in Sydney for today and tomorrow, that's probably going to be a good thing. Maybe for later in the weekend, though, it might be a bit tougher. So rain's okay for now, but it probably is going to come back eventually because La Nina. Okay. Dale, Marnie leaving next year. I feel that Eels will try to work out who will be the replacement through the year with softer teams. I kind of disagree with that, Dale. Like, I get it. He's moving to the Bulldogs in 2023. But, like, the quotes that I've been reading from, like, Gutherson and things saying, like, look, this is probably their best chance of winning a premiership with this current crop of players. I think they're just going to go for it. You know, they've had such a long premiership drought. I don't think they're going to play silly buggers in terms of, resting. I mean, maybe at the back end of the season, they might rest him to get him ready for finals. But during the regular season, I think they're going to try rack up the wins. I think mine is a pretty safe bet, irrespective of him going to another club next year. So I don't think I'd be worried about that too much. And very least at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't let that really kind of dictate my thinking. Like, that's something I think about at the back end of the season, that he might get more rest, etc. But not right now. I wouldn't really think about it. Yep, few people say Anish, what's up? Gazaraki, what's up, buddy? Moz, Aiken or Tamalolo? Now, the poll that I did on Twitter actually had Lolo as the winner, but I'm going for Aiken. As you can very clearly see in my team, I've got Aiken there. I just think I want to capitalize a little bit more on the draw. Don't get me wrong, Cowboys actually have a good draw as well, but there's a lot of forwards at the Cowboys, maybe potential minutes to be shared. Now, I have seen that Tamalolo's is supposedly going to be playing increased minutes. I just want to see it first, whereas Aiken, I have good confidence that he will play the full 80. Good attacking upside. Lolo's just coming back off a couple of small injuries, like he's had like a hamstring twinge, so that's why he didn't play in the trials. So I'm just kind of leaning with Aiken, and look, if I'm proven wrong with Tamalolo, I'll make the switch, but I don't really want to start with him. And Miklo, Nanai or Lukey, again, a very popular 50-50 call. I've gone with Lukey just because he is the more expensive player. So if I need to make the downgrade, because I really don't know, in all honesty, I can make that switch pretty easily. He does probably have a bit more. He does have more minutes under his belt in the preseason. So maybe you could expect that he would get extra minutes at the start of the year at least. So I'm just leaning towards Lukey, but really it's a 50-50. If you need to save 10k somewhere, I think going Lukey to Nanai is not the worst downgrade in my opinion. Whereas I think I'm going with Lolo as a pod. Honestly, I don't even know if Tamalolo will be a pod. It's just the name. Everyone knows who Tamalolo is for SuperCoach. So I'm going to have a quick look at his ownership actually. Oh, I'd have to do it by the trade function. Tamalolo is 26% owned. He's definitely not a pod. He's very, very highly he's more like he's higher owned than Aiken. So yeah, no, I would not be calling Tamalolo a pod. Steve, I like the Dylan Brown choice, huge pod. Yeah, he probably is my biggest pod in this team. Like, I will admit my team is very template. It's pretty safe, in all honesty, but I don't mind being safe at the beginning of the year when we're just trying to guess a lot, right? So I think trying to be flexible with the squad structure, that's one good thing with having Targo down in the center wing. If in the event, say, there's a second row forward who comes out of nowhere that I haven't considered, and say one of my cheap center wings isn't working, I can switch them with Ewan Aiken, bring Ewan Aiken down to the center wing, and then buy that cheapie in the 2RF, and vice versa. If there's a center wing that is doing really well that I want to get on for price rises, and say, for example, I don't know, say Tuolagi loses his place, and I don't want him anymore, via Targo, I can switch Targo up to the second row forward, and I can bring in that center wing. So I think it's a good thing that Targo and Aiken I've got in the opposite positions. It just helps with flexibility. So that's another reason why I was kind of okay with doing that downgrade. Go Piakura, 188k. He's on 400k a year. I didn't realize he's on 400k a year. I did think about Piakura, but I thought if I'm just going to go with enough, I'll just go even cheaper. Just take the extra 12k just put it in the kitty. I know Piakura is a chance of getting into that Broncos team, but he could potentially get eased in. They've got quite a few forwards there. So I did think about Piakura, but I've just stuck with Howarth just for now, just as my enough. I haven't really thought about that too much in all honesty. Tums, I want to go with Watson, but not sure. What about Brandon Smith? Yeah, I mean, I had Smith in my team from yesterday. I think the good thing with Smith is that he's dual listed. So 2RF and hooker. If you have Smith at your hooker position, say for example, if you wanted to use him as a bit of a stepping stone to Grant, you could go with one of these kind of mid-range 2RFs, say Ewan Aiken. Maybe he makes some money at the beginning of the year, and then what you can do then eventually is you fire Brandon Smith. You can swap Brandon Smith down to your second row forward, and then you can take out that 2RF you're trading out for a hooker like Harry Grant. So I think for dual flexibility, he's good. I just kind of feel like he's been priced out of average, which is maybe a little bit unsustainable just because he did score so many tries last year. I'll bring up his stats from last year. I always talk about with Brandon Smith that he scored so many tries, and that kind of put me off just a little bit. Let's see there. Bit of lag. Oh, that's Billy Smith. I don't want to see Billy Smith. Oh, great. I can't even see the toggle menu. That's all right. I'll bring up Smith's stats here on the main page. So, season stats 2021 and fantasy stats. So, like, I'm seeing so many tries there. He had a mad spell as well around State of Origin period. So he scored a double against Broncos, and then he had 4 games in a row scoring tries as well, admittedly against easier opponents. And then he scored another 2 tries at the back end of the year. And you can see those games where he didn't score a try. 76, granted, is good. 68 is good. 35, 57, 62 is another game without a try. But then the games where he scored a try, it really bumped up his scores. 82, 90, 79, 80, 74, 110. So I'm just, like Wilfred made a good point on the SuperCoach Champions podcast that a lot of these scores was him playing at number 9, where he could do those kind of borrowing efforts, whereas playing at lock, the chances of doing that is lesser. So I've personally just gone off Smith. I'll just stick in Marnie and hope that I can ride him out for the good draw. Okay, Brados looks pretty good, thank you. Someone likes the team at least. Ryan. What does everyone think of Corey Pakes? He was meant to be the 9 till he caught COVID. Does he come back into the squad next week? Personally, I was never keen on Corey Pakes. Just with Jake Turpin lingering around, I thought the minutes would be shared, and I wasn't sure how many minutes he was going to get in the first place. So I think you can comfortably, look, if he comes back into the team next round, like, you're not going to pick him this week when he's not even playing. Next week, you get 3 weeks to see how he goes before picking him up if he, say, does go up in price a lot. So I wouldn't really consider Corey Pakes now, at least for the next couple of weeks. Kirko, 529k with 2 spots to fill in centre wing. Should I go Billy Smith and Schiller or Sawali and Ramsey? Well, I wouldn't go Schiller or Sawali because neither is playing this week. I would go Billy Smith. And so Billy Smith's 294k. So quick math, that leaves you about 235k. There's not much to speak of there at that price, actually, 235k. So I can kind of see why you're maybe looking to go cheaper there. You could just go for enough. You could just go for 175k cheapy. I've sorted that by ownership. That's not helpful. There we go. Like, there's a few 175k guys. I wouldn't go with Schiller. Just because Rapana should be coming back. He might replace Semi Valemi. Croker is in reserve grade, but he might not stay there for that long. And then also Sebastian Chris is in COVID protocols, and he was really good for the Raiders last year, I thought. So I have a feeling he would come back into the team for the Raiders. So I'm not sure how much longevity Schiller's got. So Billy Smith, yes, I would go with. And to make up that money, maybe just go with hopefully you've got Velea, who's 205k. I would definitely recommend him if you haven't got him already. You can see he's already 41% owned, so it's very, very popular. If, for example, you just need to go with a cheapie, I would just go for enough, 175k. So maybe you could go with Cooler, although I do think he's a bit of an AE nightmare because he's playing number 14, and Dylan Walker I expect to actually come back and take that number 14 jersey. So I wouldn't go with the second option. I definitely would pick Billy Smith, but yeah, a bit of a tough run going for a cheaper centre wing. Sean, only differences, you have Lomax, Luai and Oitikamanu. Okay, interesting. I haven't seen Luai in very many teams. I'm just not keen on going with Luai, especially when there's no Nathan Cleary. I'm just not sure how much upside Luai is going to present or how well the Panthers are going to go. So I'm personally not looking at going with Luai. I've only got Targo actually from the Panthers, so you can kind of tell I've tried to fit in as many Eels players and Roosters as I can. I feel like they're the two teams I really want to tap into at the beginning of the year. So I've got Smith, I've got Crichton, I've got Teddy, I've got Walker, and then from the Eels I've got Penasini, Russell, Reed Marnie, and I even briefly considered Junior Paulo as well. But I really like Lomax as a pick. I'm still thinking, could I get in Lomax? I really like Lomax. I want to see if I can get him in. Daniel, like the video, boys. He gave us all a shout out. That's it. Thank you, Daniel, for doing my dirty plug work. Give the stream a like and obviously subscribe if you haven't already. I think as I said, I think we're on like 840 when I started the stream. I can see it's gone up to 850. Can 150 new people subscribe to the channel? Let's get to 1,000 before lockout round 1. That would be insane if that happened. Stefan, really solid team. Aman, mine's pretty similar. I personally have Aiken in my center wing and Targo as a 2RF. Yeah, there's not really much difference there. You've just swapped them around. But no, appreciate the comment around the team. Yeah, I think it's okay myself if I don't say so. Billy and Ramsey, if you can. Yeah, I think a few people are just answering Kirko's questions from before. Still sticking with Stags over Kurtman. I think so. Again, it's one of those situations where in a 50-50, I'd rather just pick the guy who's a bit more expensive. I think Stags has got the upside. I really like the first month for the Broncos. Now, granted, the Broncos without Reynolds, at least for this week, might not do much. But Stags is that kind of player who can just turn it on in any match against any opponent. But then you've got the Bulldogs and then the Cowboys and then you've got the Warriors. So I kind of want to plug him in for those first 4 weeks. Hopefully he can do damage. We know how good of a talent he is. I kind of see him as a centre wing who averages around 60, 65, and he's priced a lot cheaper than that. Man, I feel like is more safe, 50, 55, 60, maybe even 60 points, but I feel like Stags has got that upside, so I'm picking Stags in that scenario. Quick start, I'm worried about Pappy getting benched early, Wishart and Jaden on the bench, Meany on the field. So I heard I heard from Wacko's whispers that Jaden Nikarima might actually drop out of the 17, and I think it's Bronson or Brandon Garlick might come in to make his debut. So yes, potentially Pappy does. If Pappy is not out, if Pappy is out for this week, I'll take him out. Luckily, the Eels play after the Storm. Just wondering how do I get to that fixtures page? Can't even figure out how to work the SuperCoach website. Let's see. Edit team. Yeah, cool. So yeah, the Storm play on Saturday 7:35 and the Eels on Sunday. So I'm keeping Pappy in my reserves. If I need to take him out, if he's out, I will take him out for Gutherson, I think most likely, because Gutherson's got a good draw. They're similarly priced as well, and I'll probably just do that and then try to get Pappy back in the future. I just think it's too valuable of a position holding him for a week, and especially, look, he's out for 1 week, maybe they rest him again, bit of uncertainty. I learned that last season. I think when players are out and there's some doubt around a timeline, it's safer to take them out, and then hopefully they stay out. Or if they come back early, just make a plan to get them back in. We do have extra trades this season as well, so I think like that kind of play is a little bit safer. Shane, YouTube, Aman, what's up? It's SC Game Day. Welcome. Raj, think Katoa will score higher and earn more cash than Aiken. Look, I think the cash cow potential for Katoa is more than Aiken just because he's cheaper. But I feel like Aitken's got that certainty of minutes that I don't think Katoa quite has. Now, granted, it's a 100k difference in price. I just like the fact that Aiken had showed back end of last season to have really, really good base, decent upside, playing on the edge, so potentially be able to score some tries. So I've personally just gone with Aiken. Again, 50-50, going with a more expensive player. I'm just going to quickly put some light on. Not try to smack my head against my desk. There we go. A little bit more light. So what's the time? 7:00. So we've got less than an hour as well, everyone. So start locking in your teams if you can. I want to try to answer as many questions. Obviously, share, retweet everything. Get people involved if they want to join in on the round 1 countdown. Thoughts on... Okay, sorry. Jacob New. Jay Fisher-Harris or Adam Fennell-Blake? Oh, Adam Fennell-Blake all day. Fennell-Blake's got the upside in my opinion. James Fisher-Harris, I just kind of see him as a bit of a plodder. No offense to James Fisher-Harris. I wouldn't want to say that to his face. Look, he's a very good real-life player, but for SuperCoach, I just don't think he's got the game that Fennell-Blake has. Fennell-Blake's got better tackle breaks ability in my opinion, better offloader. Fennell-Blake for me. I don't even know how... I haven't even looked at Fisher-Harris like once all preseason in all honesty. Fennell-Blake for me for sure. Kingy, thoughts on Jerome Hughes? Yep, I had kind of touched on him before. I think he's a really solid option. I think he'll do very well this week. The main man against the Tigers. Definitely can see him doing very well, like a 90 plus score. I just feel like he lacks that kind of upside that I know Sam Walker can get. Like Sam Walker scored like 160 last season in his first year. Like Jerome Hughes is a very, very safe bet. Like do not get me wrong. So let's see if I can bring up Hughes' stats. So from last season, there's a massive increase in average. He's been continually increasing in average as well, gone from 61 to 73. Now he did have one of those kind of spells, 102, 141, 103, and very consistently gets you those 60s and 70s. Look, I talk about a lack of upside, but he's got quite a few 90s in there as well. So I don't think you can do worse than Jerome Hughes. I'm kind of just wanting to take the money saving and go with Walker instead. Look, I'm a bit biased as well. I am a Roosters fan, so I will admit that. But I think Jerome Hughes, look, I'd say Hines, Hughes and Walker, I'd rank it Walker, Hines, Hughes, just because the other two are goal kicking. I do prefer that. Sam Kelso, thoughts on Hastings? I'm not overly keen on Hastings now that we kind of think that he's not going to be the primary goal kicker. I think that really does kill his appeal. Look, the Tigers have got a fairly tough start. So I don't even have any Tigers players in my team actually, but they do have a relatively tough draw. So I'll just have a quick look actually at that. Apologies if I'm flip-flopping as well between the tabs, guys. But yeah, you can see the Tigers. They've got Melbourne, Knights, New Zealand, Titans, Sharks, Eels. To be honest, actually, that's not that bad. I'd say the Sharks, the Eels, and the Storm are the tougher matchups there, but the other three are okay. So it's not the worst draw on paper, actually. Maybe you need to rethink that. I feel like the price point, though, is a little bit awkward. If you start with him and he flops, like, can you really move him to anyone else unless you've got the money saved in the bank? Granted, I could say a similar thing about Dylan Brown at 466,000, but I've got a bit more faith in Brown just because he's got very good base. So I feel like I'm going to get less potential for those kind of really junk scores. And I think without the goal kicking, Hastings, I'm not as keen. Look, he looked good in the preseason, but personally not going to be going there. Steve J, I think Aiken will be shite. Mate, that's your opinion. And look, everyone is completely allowed to have their own opinion. I thought, look, he has a bit of an injury risk as well. He does have injury problems historically, but I like the dual flexibility as well. So I'm going to run with him. That's just me though. Demonic Homebrewing, Lukey or Tuolagi for the 4th reserve. That's a tough one actually. That's the thing, guys. I haven't even decided my reserves yet, so I know definitely don't copy the reserves because I haven't really thought about it yet. I mean, projected scores 40 and 36, pretty similar. I don't really read too much into that either. I'd play Lukey because Tuolagi's playing the Storm and they can shut down basically anyone. The Cowboys have got the Bulldogs. Maybe you can get some attacking stats from Lukey. So I'd play Lukey in that 50-50. A few people are actually saying Tuolagi, but I'd go Lukey. I prefer the matchup. He's playing the Storm. I don't want to play Tuolagi in that. And we don't even really know the minutes. Similar with Lukey. But no, I go Lukey. And Sean is backing me up from the AFB versus JFH question. He said AFB coming from a Panther supporter. Fisher Harris is a gun, agree. But yeah, he doesn't correlate greatly with Supercoach. Yeah, 100%. Jesus Jabir, Nakora or Aitken? Yeah, that's a tough one. I went Aitken because I prefer the draw a little bit more. Now, I know for forwards and back rows, it doesn't really matter as much. I think Nakora is a good pod. Playing outside of Nico Hines, I think the chances of him getting some attacking stats is pretty high, to be honest. So, yeah, I haven't really thought about Nakora that much though. I've just been on Aiken all preseason, so I'm just kind of stick with him. Nakora's stats were good, so I did some analysis. When he played over 70 minutes last year, he averaged around a base power of about 55, which is a pretty good floor to work off. So I think, yeah, similar price. You could toss a coin in that situation. I'm just going to go Aiken. It's slightly more expensive. I slightly prefer the draw, so I'm just going to go with Aiken in that 50-50. Fowler, if you had Cody Walker, would you captain him? 100% I'd be captaining Cody Walker, I think, this week. I mean, look, you could vice captain if you do have enough to do the loophole, but I think you can straight captain him. It's anyone who's from Brisbane or Queensland, do let me know in the comments what the rain's been like or the weather's been like, because I did see pictures of Suncorp underwater last week, but supposedly it's gotten better in the last few days. If it ends up being a dry field at Suncorp, I could see Cody Walker getting like 130 points in all honesty. So yeah, I would captain him. Zach, who should I choose for my 4th reserve? Randall, James Noah-Brown, or Penasini? That's an interesting one. Penasini's got pretty decent base, and it's a good matchup against the Titans, so I am kind of tempted as well to play Penasini. If I'm trying to think, maybe I could play my attackers for the upside if I'm in a 50-50. Like Randall will probably give you like a safe 45-50. Penasini's probably going to give you about 35-40 at a worst, I think. James Noah-Brown probably will get you maybe 45 as well. So they're very similar. So in that case, I'd probably just say Penasini for the potential upside. Sean, definitely go with your gut, guys, and always think of pods. Exactly. That's the biggest advice you can always say is go with your gut. The worst thing you can do is be talked out of a player you had a good feeling about and then seeing them do well. It's absolutely gut-wrenching when that happens, which is kind of why I'm still thinking about Lomax, because I like Lomax, and if I'd see him do well and I don't have him, I would just be like, oh, lame. So yeah, I'm still thinking about that. I should also think about my own team, but I want to help as many of you guys with your questions as well. Fowler, Cody Walker scores pretty well against harder teams, though. That's true, he does, but you could say now he doesn't have Reynolds with him, although, goddamn, he looked good in the preseason trial. He was all over the pitch. I just feel like with the new rules, there could be a slight regression to the attacking stats, and he's very reliant on them. I'm willing to just take the chance that if he gets at least one bad score in one of those tough games, his price will drop. So yeah, I'm willing to take that chance and not go with Cody Walker, but he can score good against anyone, of course. Michael, put the team. I skipped ahead in the chat. Sorry, I've lost my place. Oh wow, there's so many questions, guys. I have to scroll up quite a bit. There are so many questions. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to everyone's questions, guys. Let's have a look. Put the team that plays first on the starting 13 if you're playing a reserve in the position. Yep, that's true. So whoever's starting, and if they play earlier in the round, put them in your starting 13, because you can always switch the reserves, but you can't switch out your starters. So for example, actually in this scenario, Dylan Brown and Ilias, if for example I wanted to play Ilias and Dylan Brown, I would actually do this, because I know with better certainty that Ilias will play because he plays earlier in the round. If for example Dylan Brown was a late out, because he's in my reserves, I can chuck it off him and I can put it onto, say, a Lukey, because he plays in the game after him. So yeah, you can do that kind of thing with your team as well. Thoughts on Bradman Best? Not keen. It's too injury prone. I just don't like investing in too many nice players at the moment. Look, he's a good Supercoach asset when he's on his day. It's just not quite sure if I want to start with him. Who's better, Curran or Aiken? Oh, I think Curran's better than Aiken, but it's quite a big money jump. So I personally I'm going with Aiken just to save money, but I think Curran is a very good shout as well. If you can stretch up to him, I would 100% be picking Aiken. Sorry, I'd be picking Curran over Aiken. Tom, your predicted is 1120, so I beat yours by a point. Honestly, I haven't even looked at the predicted points. I do not look at the predicted points like at all. Rocco, what's the thoughts behind your Dylan Brown pick? I kind of gave my thoughts a little bit earlier. I like the good base, good draw. I think he had a decent, average of 53 last year without any attacking stats. So I think if I can potentially get some attacking stats out of him at the start of the year, then hopefully he does increase in price. Thoughts on Brooks? I would not be going Luke Brooks, irrespective of him goal kicking. I think his price is awkward, and I just don't have that much confidence in the Tigers. I think there's better options than Brooks, in my opinion. Adam O'Keefe, thoughts on Sloan in the centre wing? Yeah, really like Sloan playing at fullback. So fullbacks always have been doing well for Supercoach in the past few seasons. So good shout. I think it's a good pod as well if you can stretch to him in the centre wing. I can't at the moment, but I prefer Lomax to Sloan, in all honesty. I just like that goal kicking. I prefer the base. Sloan's base is not good. I think it's about 20, I want to say, from the games from last year. So he really does need those attacking stats. Steve J, Cook isn't being restricted by Bennett anymore. That's true. He's not restricted by Bennett, but I want to see it first, in all honesty. I don't have confidence to go with Cook at the moment. Even in the preseason trial, I just felt like he was just kind of deferring to Cody. And I've kind of seen that been the main kind of play over the past few seasons, like especially when Latrell comes back. So yeah, I'm not going to go with Cook. Amani, just a tip, why don't you move Targo to 2RF and then put Schiller into the centre wing, then at least you get a cash benefit. No, I'm not personally going to run with Schiller. I'd rather, because I think there's enough cheapies in the centre wing that I want to stick with, whereas the 2RF, I'm not as confident with that many. So I'd rather just have the Nuff in the 2RF compared to the centre wing. Barnes, thoughts on Connor Watson? I did put quite a lot of discussion around Connor Watson, so if you can, maybe just go back to the stream a little bit earlier, but I don't think it's exciting for the first 4 weeks. He could be an option, but I don't actually see that much better value out of him. I think he'll play around 60 minutes because I think Lachlan Lamb will come in. Caleb Middleton, centre, Coates, Staggs, Penasini, Russell, Valea, Kula, Schiller, Hines, Tommy Turbo. I wouldn't have Hines at fullback. I'd go for another gun like a Pappenhausen or a Tedesco. I'd put Hines in at halfback if you really want him. And with the centre wing, they're all fine except Kula and Schiller. I don't think they're going to be great options. I think Kula, unless he gets a run into the starting 13, could be a bit of an AE nightmare coming off the bench. And Schiller, I think his shelf life is pretty small. I think Sebastian Kris is going to come in and take his spot. James, I'm a Gold Coast Titans supporter in Sydney, seeing your first game in a couple of years for your 18th birthday. Hopefully you can pull off something against Parrot, mate. Enjoy it. Happy birthday as well. Great to Great to hear that you're going for your first game in a couple of years. It's been a while since I've been to a game as well, actually. I actually had plans to go see the Roosters versus the Knights, but other plans came up, so I can't go to that anymore. Michael, would I consider Piakura over Howarth? I have slightly considered him, but I feel like if I'm just going to go for enough, I'll just take that extra 12k. It might be handy a little bit in the beginning of the season. So I didn't really think about that for that long, to be honest. I'll just stick with Howarth. Chazza, you analysing team? No, I don't think I'll have time to be able to look at people's teams. Now, if you've got like 50-50 dilemmas, happy to answer those, but I don't think I'll have the time to kind of read through the whole team and give thought to it, just because we're in a bit of a crunch with time as well. Sorry, Chazza. Thoughts on Mitch Moses? Yeah, I think if you're invested in yields, you could go for Moses. He's just burnt me in the past, and maybe I should give more thought to Moses, but I feel like even with, look, he does have good scores, especially against the weaker teams. It's annoying that they play Melbourne in round 3 though, because that's kind of the last round where the price rises could happen. And I feel like Dylan Brown's safer for a good score than, say, Moses, just because Brown's got that better base. And I think Walker's got much higher upside than Moses, so I'm sticking with Walker for now. And I also think the Roosters are a team that will score more points than the Eels, in my opinion. Archie, Jack Bird or Aiken? I'd probably go for Aiken, in my opinion. I think he's more locked in for 80 minutes than Jack Bird is. This one is Aiken. Thomas Morowa is replacing Jesse Bromwich. That's correct. Tapai Morowa is going to be playing this week for Bromwich, but that's probably only going to be for the 1 week because Bromwich is just doing COVID protocols. I expect him to come back out. Morowa, that is, from next week onwards. Laker, I can't decide between having Nakora or Satili. I think Satili's got the higher upside but the worse base. I think Nakora's going to give you more solid scores but maybe slightly less upside because I think Satili's got a better chance of getting the tries. So kind of depends on your kind of risk appetite. If you've already got, say, like a Crichton, I would just go for a Nakora in my opinion. And I think in the straight shootout, I probably would lean with Nakora actually as well. Have you got House for VC swap? In all honesty, I didn't even pick him thinking I'll try to do loops, just because at the start of the year, when you've got so many cheap of center wings, these guys can give you like 15, 20 points. Sometimes they just don't offer the good scores from an auto emergency for the loophole. So yes, he's a potential VC loophole option, but I don't really use the VC loophole that often in any case. Okay, let's see, next question. Stephen, everyone's saying don't get Schiller, but isn't he a better option than Enough because he possibly has a chance of playing the 3 games and could get a price rise when Enough just sits there? Yes, possibly, but I don't want to pick him and then have him just turn into Enough. I can just go with Enough that I know, and then if Schiller does look like he's actually going to play the 3rd game and looks like he's smashed it and gotten good price rises, I'll use him as a downgrade so I can create extra money going down to him in that situation. If I started with him, then again, I don't see that many better 2RF cheapies, but in the center wing there's enough cheapies that I can fill that spot in. So that's another reason why I'm not keen to go with a center wing. James, what do you think about Marzu? It feels as though he's really strong, but just about how many games he's going to get, because it seems Sammy is more in favour. Yeah, there's some word that Corey Thompson is in doubt, so Marzu could get a run this week. I just think it's a touch expensive, 515k. Like, I think if you're paying 515, I'd rather go for like a Tupou, in my opinion. I think he's got a better chance of more points just on the end of a Roosters backline. Tupou is someone I haven't really thought about, but I think I should think more about Tupou. He averaged 71 the season before last, and we've got all of our star players back, like Kiri, we've got Walker, Teddy, etc. I think Tupou could be in for a good year, so I don't really mind actually going with Tupou in all honesty. But Marzu I haven't really thought about too much. He's got a good Supercoach friendly game, but personally not going to start with him. Laker, I want Sexton in the team but can't fit him in. Yeah, I think again it seems like an unknown. He scored well in the few games he played last season, but I feel like the sample size is quite small. And last year I carried a Titans goal kicking halfback thinking that'd be a good cash cow, and Fogarty didn't quite work out. So I'm not sure if I should think about that again as a reason to not go with Sexton, but I like the look of Walker and I think he's got much higher upside than Sexton. Thoughts on Arrow now that he's playing on the edge? Yeah, I think the Rabbitohs have a pretty strange bench actually. So Just quickly jump onto NRL.com, not Netflix. I'm not watching Netflix. NRL.com. So I'm just going to quickly open up. So yeah, if you look at the Rabbitohs bench, you've got Host, Havili, Burgess, and Cheekham. Cheekham is more of a edge player. Host can play in the middle. Havili is kind of like a hooker / middle, and Burgess is a middle. Actually, no, sorry. Host is more of a edge back rower, isn't he? So I think there's a chance that Arrow won't play the whole game on the edge. I think he could play he could spend some time in the middle as well. So I think now that he plays, yes, he's playing on the edge, but he might not play his whole time there, so the upside might not be there for as long as it could be. I did consider going with Arrow in my front row forward instead of Fanul Blake. He does have the dual flexibility, which I do like, but if I took out, say, Fanul Blake for Arrow, because I think I would probably go with Arrow as the next front row forward if I didn't go with Fanul Blake. I mean, it frees me 70k. Look, I can get Lomax for Stags in that case, but I kind of want to keep Stags. I think in that case, with that 70k, I'd maybe upgrade Howarth, and that gives me, 246k? Oh, again, there's actually not that many good options at that price in 2RF in terms of the cheapies. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's the reason why I didn't end up going with Arrow. I just felt I had the money. I could just go up to Fanul Blake, and I feel like he's more of a set and forget than Arrow. Again, a lot of these players here who are sub 246k, just not really liking the look of them. And I feel like I've got all the centre wing cheapies that I need. I don't think I'm missing anyone. That money won't really get me any wholesale upgrade. It won't get me Brown up to Munster. So I figured I may as well just take that money. Actually, I could get Harry Grant then, if I did that. What do you guys think of that, actually, now that I've just done that? So basically it's Fanul Blake and Reid Marnie versus Jai Arrow and Harry Grant. I think I prefer the first one, but I'll be keen to see what you guys think in the chat, actually. Oh man, there's so many questions. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with all of them. Apologies if I miss any questions as well, guys. Just trying to go through as many as I can. Ben, you're running a Stags Lomax double up in the center wing and AFB James Fanul Brown on the forwards, hoping it pays off. That's kind of what I had in yesterday's video, actually. I had the Fanul Blake. I had the Lomax and Stags double up at the expense of a front row forward. So this is what I had. I think I had taken out Targo. Let's quickly do that here. Oh no, I can't afford that. I must have done another downgrade somewhere else. Oh, of course, I didn't have Harry Grant. I had Marnie instead. So that's when I went for a 205k player. I just wasn't confident on having Fanul Brown as my second front row forward, just in case if he flops, well, how am I going to move off it? And I feel like I had enough funds in the center wing to maybe go without Lomax. So that's kind of what my thought process was. But I do like having Lomax, but I think I'm not going to go there. I think I'm just going to stick with what I just had previously. It's a bit more of an overall balanced squad, I think, in that case. So hopefully that flexibility does help at the beginning of the year. I'll actually leave that open just because I'm not sure yet on those two spots. Is Kurt Mann worth it? Kind of get some thoughts on Mann. I think he could be a solid 50 to 55 point scorer. Just not sure on the value. Thoughts on Kiri? I'm personally not running with Kiri just because he's just coming off an injury. And look, I read some quotes saying that he and Walker are going to drift. They're going to play either side, which is really enticing. But I like the fact that Walker is goal kicking, so I'm just going to stick with Walker. Matt, aren't you worried about Marnie and HIA? He's tiny. Look, honestly, the biggest bloke playing NRL can get a HIA as well. Would a surprise like Fafita, he can just get hit in the head really hard and gets a HIA, and he's massive. I'm not going to think about the HIA that much. Look, if he gets a HIA and he's out, I'll trade him out. That's it. But I'm not going to say, oh, he's a HIA risk, so therefore I'm not going to pick him like any of these players. HIA risks, obviously, is a little bit more. But, nah. Should we get on Stephen Crichton now that he's goal kicking? Should be worth 10 points. Maybe. Could go with Crichton, actually. But the price is a bit awkward, like, what is it, 420k? I think I would rather just go for Stags. I just don't want to invest in the Panthers when they don't have Cleary. I just feel like overall they're going to be a bit hurt by that. And so, yes, he's goal kicking, but I'm just not quite sure how many additional points he will get. So I'm personally not going to go with Crichton. And Crichton's in the past proven to be very reliant on the attacking stats to actually make a good average. Steve, why Lukey over the other bloke to name to start? I kind of went into this earlier in the stream. I think he's played a few more minutes in the preseason, so I'm a little bit more confident in him. And he's a little bit more expensive. So if I need to trade down, I can. Versus the other way around, where I have to find the money. James, will I be able to set up ways to donate in time? I take it you need a subscriber goal. Yeah, I haven't looked into that yet. I'm sure I'd have to hit a subscriber target. I'd probably have to get at least 1,000 subscribers, I'm guessing, but something we'll look into in the future. But no, appreciate that. Reserve Penasini or Targo. Ooh, that's a tough one, eh? Targo does have the the Sea Eagles, so it's a slightly tougher matchup than the Titans for Penasini. I think they're both fairly solid base. That's a really tough one. I think just for the potential, just the better opponent, I'd maybe just go Penasini. Penasini or Russell. Ooh, again, that's a tough one. If you had just to pick one, maybe Russell, just because he's more expensive and he's probably got the higher upside playing on the left wing, as opposed to Penasini. But again, that's a very tough one. Troy, what's your plan if Turbo goes big tonight? I will hide behind the couch. Why no Lomax? Yeah, I think it was just for squad structure overall. I really liked having Lomax and Stags. I didn't really want to compromise on Stags. I've got a good feeling about him as well. So, and Lomax, look, they do have a tougher draw as well. So I'm kind of thinking, yes, I could stick with him from the beginning, but maybe there's a better opportunity to get him in a few weeks' time when the draw opens up a little bit. And also it allows me to just stick with like a stronger front row forward and hooker. So I think for overall squad structure, I took him out. But obviously I don't feel great about it. If I could have Lomax, I would, if I could fit him in nicely. Madison or Aiken? I think I'd go Aiken. I don't know how good Madison's going to go playing at lock. I think it'll be good for the Eels, but for Supercoach purposes, not quite sure how he's going to go. 7:35, so there's 30 minutes left as well, guys. So start locking in your teams. I haven't scrolled down to the chat yet, so I think a few questions I've already answered. As a Roosters fan, what are your thoughts on Momorowski on the right wing? Yes, look, I think while he's playing, he should do very well. The problem is that I don't think he's going to be the first choice right winger. I think it's going to be Sawali. So he kind of feels like a future trade out. So I'm personally not going to go there, and it looks like he's not goal kicking. I do get you though. The right wing spot for the Roosters is very covetable. So yeah, I think if Sawali's back soon, I imagine he will just take that spot. How much money should you leave in the bank? It's not really a big deal how much you leave. If you have a perfect team that you really like and it's got nothing left, just roll with it. Obviously, having some money left in the bank is nice. It gives you a bit more flexibility, but I wouldn't worry about that too much. Murray or Curran? Ooh, I'd go Curran just for the slightly better draw. Murray is just coming back off an injury, so maybe a little bit uncertain how he goes. And I keep saying that he starts the season slower than he does finish it. I'll go Curran for that reason, but it's not really much of an argument, I'd say. A lot of people are asking questions that I've kind of already answered. Thoughts on Satili, I've kind of given reasons for that. I kind of want to tackle new questions if I can. Thoughts on Tamalolo, again, get some thoughts around him. I think potentially he can get those extra minutes. I just want to see it first. He's just coming back off that slight hamstring injury too. I kind of also feel, I'm not quite sure if he's going to come back the same player that we think he will for Supercoach. So I'm willing to wait and see and jump on him if I like the look of it. Thoughts on Hastings versus SJ? I'd go SJ. Better draw. Should be goal kicking the first week. So I'd run with SJ. Front row is pretty iffy. Arrow and Tunor Brown in the front. Reckon you should reconsider some cash spent to avoid trades. Yeah, that was ultimately also part of the thinking. If I just put some money extra into the front row forward, then I can just not have to worry about it. Just set and forget it. Leave it. Don't worry about it. Instead of if I had like Bullimore, Tunor Brown there, I'd be trying to... Nary Cleary means Luai is naked. Yeah, I kind of think so as well. Danny, what was my rank last season? Oh, mate, I think it was like 5-6k. it was okay in the end. It was really frustrating though. I started this last season really well. I was in the top 1,000 after about eight rounds, but I made the fatal error of picking Gutherson instead of Turbo, and that killed me. So my rank just tanked after that. Harry Grant is a stud, a sure thing. Oh mate, yeah, 100%. Again, I haven't scrolled to the chat yet, but I basically had the decision of I can go Marnie and Fanua Blake or Arrow and Grant. So I'd be keen to see what you guys think about that. Still confident with deal bags? Yeah, I think I'm set into deal bags. Thoughts on Pangai? Yeah, Pangai could be an option now because they've done this whole refresh of the... they've given every player a clean slate on the judiciary point system. So not Tanul Brown, Tavita Pangai could be an option again, but look, I could go there. I just didn't like what I saw in that trial, so I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, I think I've gone to the bottom of the chat now. Yeah, let me know what you think, guys. Grant and Arrow, or Reed Marnie and Fanua Blake. Kind of prefer the Fanua Blake one, I think. What is my current pathway to Cleary? Should he come back a week or two early? Well, I don't think he's going to come back a week or two early because they've literally just said he'll be out for 3 rounds. And look, if he's back straight away, I'll probably give it a miss for the first couple of weeks, see how he comes back from an injury. Maybe the price goes down and then I can pick him up a little bit cheaper. Otherwise, look, if I have to, look, I can just take out one of my guns. Maybe I just take out a Fafita for a good performing mid-ranger and just upgrade my halfback to Cleary. That could be one way around it. I think I don't want to plan. You don't want to plan for these kind of things too much, just because so much can change in the first few rounds. You know, you could have a setback. You might have, say for example, you leave like 400k in the bank to say this is my Cleary money. You wait 3 rounds and then it's, he's actually going to be out for another couple of weeks. Then you start thinking, I should have spent that money. I just think just run with it, and when the time comes, think about it then, because your squad's going to look very different. Your thoughts on players are going to be very different as well. So I'll maybe just drop a gun to pick up Cleary, but I'm not going to think about it that much. Am I concerned with no Lomax? I am. Concern is probably not the right word. I think I don't like not having Lomax. I really like Lomax, but I think what it can help for the rest of my squad, for example, if I look at my center wing, I look at it, I'm like, I think it's fine. Good crop of cheapies there. Should be some good cash cow potential, hopefully. And there's enough money in there that I don't think I'm going completely cheap. But before, I had my front row forward, and I had Payne Haas, and then Tanua Brown and Fafita, who I think is a bit risky, and then Max King, and I was like, I just don't like the look of that. And yes, I'm taking the money out, but I could already see myself saying, I really want to just make some changes at front row forward. So I'm thinking, there's so many more ways for me to get to Lomax, because any of my cheap center wings, I can change one of my 2 RFs because I've got Targo and Aiken, so I can use them to switcheroo. So I think I've got an easier way to get to Lomax than say I do to get to like another front row forward. So I think that's why I'm thinking just pump the money in the front row forward and just leave it. And I think they should still do well. And I think Fanua Blake and Haas are the 2 that I'd go for. I've said that all pre-season, so I would stick with that. Watson or Aitken? They're very different, aren't they? I'd probably go Aitken. A little bit cheaper. I think Watson, yes, might do well for the first 4 weeks, but I don't think he's going to play the full 80 minutes, as I've said already. So I think I'd go with Aitken. Got the dual flexibility. Well, Watson does as well. Wait, is Pappenhausen not playing? Have I missed something? No. So he's still in the 17. He's still starting. There's just been some chat, and you can see it on my Twitter. If you scroll down my Twitter feed, there's just been a bit of chat that he might still be a bit of a doubt with his ankle injury. I feel like he probably will play, but there's just a little bit of a doubt. So, for example, he's not going to be goal kicking this week, apparently. It's likely to be Nick Meaney, who's playing at 5'8", just because Pappenhausen had an ankle injury. So, to maybe ease the pain, they're not going to make him goal kick. So, definitely stay up to date on the news. So, for any new players, every team updates their teams an hour before kickoff, which I just realized I have not even looked at yet for the first game. Make sure there's any changes there. So, you can see the first game, Panther Sea Eagles, is at 8:05. And so this is the team that they've locked in. So I don't think I can't see any changes in either team there. So Jamin Salmon has come in at number 20 into the bench. And the Sea Eagles are 1-17. So this is how you see on NRL.com. the final 17s for each team. There's a couple of Twitter accounts that you can follow as well. So you've got Adam Styles, I think it's Adam, hopefully I haven't said that wrong, who does the late mail for NRL SuperCoach Talk. Wacko Whispers, Tim Williams is now doing the late mail for the Telegraph, I think. So that's a way to figure out the final 17. Nakora or Aitken. I mean, I've been on Aitken this whole time, but a few people have said Nakora. I think that's a real gut 50-50 call. I'm currently on Aitken. Thoughts on Bullimore? Yeah, the reason I haven't gone with Bullimore at the moment is I just think that he's someone who you'll have to trade out eventually, just with Schuster having to come back. Playing on an edge, slightly tougher opposition, so I'm just wondering if the attacking stats will be there to kind of make up for it. Like, it's either him or Tanua Brown, actually. I mean, I could go Bullimore instead of Tanua Brown, but if you check out my YouTube community page, I posted a screenshot of I think it might have been a journalist who was asking Todd Payton about James Tanua Brown. The comments seemed pretty positive about Tanua Brown playing some decent minutes, and so I thought Tanua Brown might be a little bit more solid and a bit more secure for the longer term. So that's why I've just gone with Tanua Brown. I think if you need to save money and you go with Bullimore, I don't think it's horrible. He's dual listed, which is handy. But I think, look, if I need to get him, if he does have an amazing first 2 weeks, I'll take out Lukey, I'll take out Tanua Brown or someone like that. So I think there's options that I can go there, just not keen to start with him. Oscar, you've got Grant and Arrow in your team. Yeah, a few 50-50s on this. A few people saying Fanua Blake and Marnie. I think I'm just going to stick with what I had originally. I do prefer Fanua Blake to Arrow. And Reed Marnie I've been pretty keen on as well. Now, actually, because there's about 20 minutes to go, I'm going to think a little bit more about my reserves, actually. Yeah, a few people have actually already asked who my reserves are going to be. Yep, I think I need to figure that out. So, like, Reed Marnie's 100% going to play. I've got my starters, I think, set in. Like, Dylan Brown, I'll definitely play. So, if I think about the guys that I would maybe reserve, I would like to play my Eels players because I've got the Titans. So I think playing Penasini and Russell is fine. I could play the Warriors guy, but just because I'm a little bit uncertain, I don't know much about him, I'm happy to keep him on the Pine. The Dragons play... Who do the Dragons play? The Warriors. It's not a bad matchup. I could play Amon. Like, basically, like, Tedesco and Pappenhausen are locked in. Staggs is locked in. Smith is locked in. Walker is locked in. I mean, I could even play Schneider, but I don't think I don't think the Sharks are a bad opposition. Vice captain. I should have thought about this a little bit more, shouldn't I? Honestly, I could actually just vice captain Ilias. He plays before Tedesco. It's a good matchup against the Broncos. I might just do that, just because he plays earlier than the Roosters. Or captain Ilias, vice captain Ilias for now. Randall's probably a safe 50-ish, maybe 45-50. It is a tough matchup against the Roosters, though. I don't think I'll play King because he's on the bench. Don't think I'll play Tuolagi just because I'm uncertain about the minutes. Tanua Brown, again, some uncertainty about the minutes, so I might not go with Tanua Brown, although it is the Bulldogs, which is a decent matchup. I'll reserve Brown for sure, and I'll reserve Pappenhausen for sure. So I've got two more spots to think about. So it's either Penasini. So Penasini I got there because it's the Titans. It's a good matchup. Matt Valea is the fastest guy in the Warrior squad and an instinctive player with a really bright future, just behind Berry in terms of potential. That's good to hear that he's got good prospects. And I like that he's quick. I like quick players. I'll probably still not put the reserve on him just because I don't know anything about does he have good base and things like that. So I think I'll stick with Brown and Pappenhausen for sure. And then I think I will stick with Penasini just because I think the matchup is good against the Titans. And I want to play Russell. He's a winger. I like the fact that he's playing on the wing. I mean, Targo is playing a tough matchup against the Sea Eagles. I could just play Penasini instead. And then I could reserve one of my forwards, like Tanua Brown or Lukey. I don't mind actually reserving Lukey just because it's the Bulldog that he's playing. Maybe some attacking stats. I can see Michael saying Newcastle plays first, so put Marnie in reserve. The problem is I'm not sure if I actually want to reserve Chris Randall or play him. So that's why I'm not putting him in the starting lineup for now, because I'm just not even sure if I want to play Randall as it stands. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I don't have to make the decision today because it's only Panthers versus Manly. I'm not going to change any of my players. Oh, actually, I guess Targo. I have to decide if I'm going to play Targo. I kind of want to play Targo. I want to see at least one of my players in the first game of the season, don't you? Panthers are still a decent side. They're playing at home. I think I'll stick with Targo. I think I'll stick with Ilias as well. I'm trying to maybe play the higher upside guys. Okay, let me know in the chat. Can I do polls? Let me do a poll. Who would you reserve? Yeah, help me out in the chat, guys. I need you all right now. Maybe Schneider against the Sharks, but I feel like that's a bit punty as well. Let me just whoops. How to spell that? Alright, there should be a poll. Hopefully you guys can see that. I put Randall, Lukey, James Newell-Brown and Tuolagi as one of the players to reserve. So let me know. See if there's any questions coming in. If you captain either Tommy or Tedesco this round, who would you choose? I mean, if you've got Tom Trbojevic, I think you have to captain him, in all honesty. I think that's the point of having him, right? But straight captaining him in the first week is a bit iffy. You could vice captain Turbo and then captain... Oh, sorry, who would you VC? Haas or Fafita? Out of those two, I'd do Fafita. He's got the higher upside. Stuart, I'm a Panthers fan and you have none playing this week. Oh, don't tell me that. I was so keen to see one of my players playing tonight. But, yeah. Could I not play Targo? If I didn't play Targo, I'd probably just play like a Lukey or a Tanul Brown and Randall. So I could have Randall, Lukey, Dylan Brown and Pappenhausen as the reserves this week. Could be an option. Let me just have a quick look at his stats from last season. I just want to see what his base is. I just need to remind myself. So Targo last season, he had a base average of 22 in the few games that he played. But again, he's only coming off the bench, so it's hard to read into that. Tough. What about Penasini? I know he played a few games last season as well. Penasini's base, 30, 30, 40. Yeah, Penasini's got good base, so I'm keen to play Penasini if I can. So I think I will keep him in the 17. Randall 45 points, James Newell 42, Tuolagi's placeholder. Yeah, I don't think I'll be reserving Tuolagi just because of that Garner uncertainty. Right, I can't even see the results of my own poll. Lukey's in the front, 40%. Randall 33%. So not too many keen players on Tanur Brown. I could see the upside with Lukey. It's a nice fixture against the Bulldogs, and he's good chance of playing decent minutes as well. Yeah, I can see the Lukey appeal. Yeah. Like, Randall's just going to be a tackle bot. He'll just make like 40, 50 tackles, and that's probably it, isn't it? Lukey might give me what? Let me just have a quick look at his base. What's the time as well? Oh, geez, 7:52. Don't have much longer to go, guys. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream as we're counting down to round 1, and hopefully I answered as many of your questions as I can. We obviously still have a little bit of time to go. Lukey's base is around 28, 34, 28, 32, 38, 50, 30. So it'll probably give me about 35 to 40 as well. Potentially can score a couple of tries though. Yeah. What about Schneider? He's an unknown and can run. Goal kicks. Yeah, the goal kicking could be a thing, but I don't think the Sharks is the worst matchup. So, sorry, I don't think the Sharks is a great matchup. So I'm a little bit iffy on him, and I've never seen the bloke play. Targo plays on the left. I do prefer the left side of the Panthers. You know, you'll have Luai, Targo, To'o. I'm going to stick with Targo. Yeah, I kind of want to play Targo. Yeah, Michael makes a good point. If Lukey pulls out, I only have King to reserve. That's a good point. I mean, King could maybe give you 35 to 40. I get what you're saying, that's for sure. In that case, I'd maybe then put the reserve on. I'll just keep. I think what I'll do, guys. I think like Penasini, Pappenhausen, and Brown, I'm pretty confident on. I don't think I'm going to change that. So I think it either then comes down to Lukey, Tanua Brown, Tuolagi, and Randall. I can make the decision on Randall on Saturday. So I'll see. We'll get some later mail about who, like say with the Cowboys. If it looks like Lukey's fine to play, I'll take a chance on Lukey. I think is the last reserve. If say Lukey's out, look, I'll put on Tanua Brown or King. They might give me like 35, 40, 45 points, which is fine. I think Lukey does have that upside. So yeah, I think I will. I think I'll go Lukey. Thanks everyone. He won the poll as well. I'll just end that poll there. So yeah, I think I'll keep it on Randall for now, and I'll find out in a couple of days. I'll post on Twitter if that changes. But yeah, guys, I think in terms of the team, I don't think I'm going to be changing my team now. I think I'm locked into it. I think I was happy when I did the changes. I was happy with this team. I just don't want to overthink it anymore. I think I just want to just stick with it. Confident. I'm happy with Tedesco being captain as well. Let's see. Matt, Lukey has upside. Take a punt. James Tanua Brown will do nothing but hit it up like a large slug. Mate, I love the analogy, a slug. I've never seen a slug play rugby league. Is Liam Martin going to be an 80-minute player? I don't know if he's going to be an 80-minute player. I'm just looking at the bench there. They've got some options. So Sorensen can definitely play middle. Martin's named on the edge. Actually, with this current bench, he could play decent minutes. I don't think he'll play the full 80. Capel at times didn't play the full 80. So I don't know. I don't think he would be playing the 80. And I think without Cleary, I think part of the appeal of going for Liam Martin was that he would be playing on the right side, which would be Cleary's side. So, Cleary did that a lot with Capel last season. He put him through holes for tries. I'm just not sure if without Cleary, Martin's going to have that same upside. So I probably wouldn't. I haven't really been considering Liam Martin. Coruscant, no, I'm not too keen on Coruscant. I feel like he's had injury problems recently. There's Kenny on the bench, so I don't even think Coruscant is going to play the full 80 minutes. So I'm not keen personally. I think if I'm going for a hooker, I only want Grant Marnie or the Cheese. I'm on Marnie at the moment. What about Schneider? Unknown and can run goal kick. Yeah, sorry, I already read that before. Just seeing if there's any questions I might have missed. Sipley over to Noah Brown, 15k cheaper and starting for a better team. The thing with Sipley though is I'm just not sure what his role is going to be when Josh Alloway comes back, because Alloway is going to come back from suspension in round 4. Does that mean Sipley goes to the bench? Does he drop out of the 17 altogether? Whereas the quotes that I've read sounds like Tanua Brown, he's a starting prop and he's going to be locked into that. So I feel like longer term Tanua Brown could just be a bit more secure than Sipley. So I haven't really looked at Sipley for that reason. Thoughts on Garrick? Nah, I don't think I think he's just way too expensive. The first 2 games, Panthers and then the Roosters, a bit tough. I'm just hoping for the fact that he can go down in price, in all honesty. I think we just have to try find the next Garrick and the next To'o. So, someone like a Tupou could be an option there. Someone like a Lomax, Stags, Sloan. I think Joey Manu. I think these are the guys that we have to try to be looking at. Those in the kind of 400, 500k range who can make that step up. I think at the beginning of the season, we're trying to find that value. Game is on. Is it on yet? I thought it was 8:05. We've got 7 minutes, 20 seconds. I think if I turn the TV on and put the footy on, I might get copyright strike, so I'm not going to put it on just yet. Actually, what I can do, put it on my phone, turn the volume down. How about that? Would I go Dylan Brown or Stags? That's an interesting question. They're completely different positions. Ooh. I think if you're in that kind of a 50-50, I'd go Brown just because under him in terms of price, there's not really much at 5'8", whereas with centre wing, there's a lot of cheaper options you can consider. So I feel like maybe I'd go Brown then because of that 50-50. Thoughts on Katoa? yeah, I think Katoa could be an option. I think a lot of players are on him. Just not quite sure myself with the fact that when Tohu comes back, maybe he's going to play lesser minutes. I don't think he's going to be playing the full 80. So I prefer Curran or Aiken. But look, if you're trying to save the money but still go into that Warriors attack, I would go with Katoa. I think he's fine. I can see the viewers have dropped. Oh no, you're all leaving me. Guys, if you're heading out to watch the footy, obviously enjoy. Rugby League is back, but if you're on your way out, do give the stream a like and do subscribe if you were new around here. So happy that so many of you guys had so many questions, and I could hopefully answer some of your questions and help you guys out. And yeah, honestly, I don't think my team is going to change. I think we're too close now. I don't want to be making panic moves in the last 5 minutes with my team. John, Teddy or Turbo for captain? Haas or Fafita for vice captain? As I've said, I think actually if you do have Turbo, I'd probably just go ahead and captain him because you want to get the value out of him by captaining. It's going to be a big pod. I don't think many people are going to captain him. And you could say, I think without Cleary, the Panthers maybe are there for the taking. And I don't know what the weather's like in Penrith, but near me it hasn't been raining. So it might not be as bad. So he might actually put a good score on. If you got Turbo, I'll just captain him. Watch the points roll in. Matt, also another hot take. I think Josh King gets the Finucane role, 30 minutes at prop and 20 minutes at lock. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Actually, I kind of did consider Josh King, but look again. If I'm not sure, I'll stick with the guy who's more expensive, which is Tanul Brown. I'll make the downgrade if I have to. I know it sounds like I'm going to be changing half my team based on waiting and watching, but I feel like I'm happy with the structure that I've got at the moment. Moses or Sam Walker? I mean, look, I'm going to go Sam Walker. I think his ceiling is insane. Moses can have that ceiling. I've just got more confidence in the Roosters putting on points. So for that reason, I'm sticking with Walker. Okay. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are heading off for the game now. I'll stick around for the next like 3 or 4 minutes. I'll go all the way till lockout. And then I think after that, yeah, I'll head off because I also want to watch the. I've actually got it just on my phone here below me, so I can keep an eye, making sure we don't miss any of it. Because mate, Rugby League is back. How good. Michael, see you after the game. Yep, thank you so much, and yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining me. I'll keep the stream going if anyone has any last minute questions. But yeah, I think as soon as the lockout happens, I think I'll be off because I want to watch the rugby just as much as you guys. Stags or Nakora? Ooh. I go Stags because I think better first month, better upside. And I think there's other good options at that 480k like an Aitken, Satili Chupanua. But around Stags price I don't see much, so I'll probably just go Stags. Wouldn't you try for Munster when he's back? So maybe downgrade to Hastings from Brown. I mean, if I downgrade Dylan Brown to Hastings, yes, that gives me an extra 100k, but how does that help me then get back to Munster? I'm still going to have to be paying up money to get to Munster. So the reason I'm going with Brown is that I think he's got better potential over the first few weeks to actually make some coin. I think he's playing for a better team, better base, so I think I'm going to get less bad scores out of him. So that's the reason why I'm sticking with Dylan Brown. Yeah, look, if I can get Munster, I'd like it. It does feel weird. I've only got, not counting Howarth, I've only got Pappenhausen from the Storm. One of the best teams in the comp, and I've only got one of their players. I think the whole round one thing kind of put me off. So I'm hoping I can just try to figure out a way to get to them. I didn't start with Munster or Grant last year, and I did okay at the beginning. I think it's easy to see the players that you don't have compared to the players that you do. So I'm looking at my team and I like the overall structure of it. I think I've got every position covered with a gun, a few hopeful mid-rangers who can make some money, and just a couple of pods here and there. Like Dylan Brown's a pod. I would say, actually, I don't have that many pods actually when I think about it. Fanul Blake's not really a pod. Aiken's not really a pod. So there's no pods, but hopefully that just means that I can start with the crowd and you can kind of differentiate once you know a lot more about the teams and the players. Guys, we're on 2 minutes 5 seconds. 2 minutes 5 seconds to go. I think the clock that's below me is a little bit slow, so don't look into that too much. Actually, no, I think it's because I'm out of time. I'm a little bit of a delay. So we're inside the final 2 minutes, guys. 2 minute warning for any NFL watchers out there. You've gone Simpkin at hooker. Alright, good luck. I wish you luck, but I wouldn't go for Simpkin myself. So. But I'll wish you any luck anyway. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. this evening. Okay, guys, we're on 49 likes. Someone throw me a pity like. Let's get to at least 50. Let's get to 50 likes on the stream. You know, we're talking SuperCoach for an hour and a half. That's not worthy of a like. No, I'll stop the plugs. I think it sounds a bit cheesy, doesn't it? Okay, we're on a minute 10 to go. Corey CWH. Okay, I'm guessing that's Corey Harionira, I think, or Young. Jay, can you just clarify if that's Hudson Young and Corey Harionira? If that's the case, I mean, realistically, I wouldn't go with either. I just hate Ricky's rotation. I think I'd go CHN for the upside. Michael, it's good to be back with a rolling lockout rather than a fixed like FPL. Honestly, I prefer the FPL system because I know once my team's locked, I can just forget about it. There's nothing I can do anymore. Whereas SuperCoach, I have to kind of constantly be monitoring the team over the weekend. Gazaraki, what do I think about Sloan at centre wing? I think is a great option, in all honesty. I really like what the Dragons are doing by the look of it. So I think if you can get a piece of that back line, I think Sloan, especially from fullback, could be really good. Jake, you meant CHN? Yep. Okay, that's what I thought. I think I'd go CHN. I think he's got more of a SuperCoach friendly game. He offloads, good attacking stats upside. I think I'd go CHN. Ben, I hope you have Katoa as your third tour. I hope he's solid. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. Decent mid-ranger. Alright guys, what are you on? 11 seconds on my end. So lock in your teams. I'm just going to do a quick look at my team. Haven't done anything stupid apart from the whole 25 players. That's it. We're at lockout. That's done. Just going to refresh. And oh, it looks like I can still trade Targo, but I'm not going to do any messing around. We're at lockout. Hopefully the game doesn't crash because of the amount of players on it. Guys, it's time. I'm watching my phone. I can see the Panthers running out onto the field. Good luck, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that, and hope you'll have an amazing season. Hope your starting round one team bears you well. I'm not sure when I'll see you all again. I'll see you obviously soon, but thinking I might do a reaction stream just for this week on Sunday evening after the games. I'm going to be out actually all weekend. I won't be I don't think I'll be actually able to watch that many games. So I'll let you guys know what the content will look like, but thanks all for joining. Enjoy the footy. Let's go, and see you all on the next one.